Hey guys, JC here, and today I want to talk about the holiday season. Obviously, holidays are great. You get to spend time with your family and friends, especially around Christmas time because everybody loves the feeling of opening a gift that you've been wanting or seeing somebody open a gift you bought them. I just don't really think that the stressful parts of these holidays are talked about enough as they should be. I personally went Christmas shopping for everybody 2 days ago. Now, I'll admit that is kind of my fault because that's really last second. Like, I procrastinate on everything, but even for me, it's like, damn, you know? And the place I went shopping at is this really big, really popular mall, so I was expecting it to be crazier than it usually is there. I was so severely unprepared for how crazy it was there. Like I said, this mall is huge, so it has really far out parking spots from the actual mall itself, and it took me no joke 10 minutes to find a spot. Not find a good spot, just find a spot in general. And of course, the only spot I could find was pretty far out, but after 10 minutes of searching, it is what it is. But I got my spot, so now it's time to go to the mall and get this shopping out of the way. Like I said, this mall was usually pretty packed, but it was the Saturday before Christmas, so I knew it was going to be a little extra bad. Trying to get around in this mall felt like swimming in a sea of people that have never been in a mall before. Like I said, it's on me for going last second shopping, but why are we just standing still in the middle of a hallway where people are trying to get by? Even if you're going to get in the way, you can move your strollers or your bag so I can get by. It's always the people with the most stuff that try to block the hallway. Back to my shopping though, so 3 pushed over strollers later. I finally made it to the Nike store, which is where I wanted to get my dad's stuff from. He never really wants anything when I ask him what he wants, but this year he said he wanted clothes, so I wanted to get him a lot. Obviously, I've bought some of my own clothes before, but I never really realized how much they cost until I tried to buy a lot for somebody. Obviously, I could have went to Walmart and got pretty similar stuff for way cheaper, but I figured it was worth it for the extra quality, plus he likes Nike. What I didn't think would happen is looking at the price tags there. The $150 I had started to look like not that much. Because why is a pair of basketball shorts there $50? But yeah, I think I got like 5 pieces of clothes for him from there, and it was like over $100. And like I said, this mall was huge, so it had a really big Nike store in it, and the line in that store was so packed. So after waiting a good 10 minutes in line, I finally make it out of the Nike store, and I stopped and got one other thing for him, but on the way out of the mall, something else happened. Like I said, it was really hard to find parking, especially on a day like this, but as I'm walking out of the mall, I see a lot of cars circling around and looking for spots, and as I'm walking, because my car is pretty far out, this lady was driving the opposite way that I was walking, and she pulled up next to me and rolled down her window. And she was like, "Hey, are you leaving?" And I told her, "Yeah." And I kept walking because I'm like, damn, that's pretty weird. Because keep in mind, the way I was walking is behind where her car already was. And I had my AirPods in while I'm walking, but a few seconds later I look back and she's reversing next to me to try to follow me. I guess her idea was to try to take my spot or something once I left, which makes sense because like I said, it was really busy. And a few seconds later I spot my car, but unfortunately for both of us, it's another row over and still a little bit further back. Which meant not only would this lady have to go further back to get to where my car is, but she wouldn't even be able to get there because like I said, there's a whole row in between it. I ended up just walking to my car and I never really looked back, but I feel kind of bad. Maybe I should have said something to her. But then again, if you're gonna be reversing through a parking lot to try to follow a person to their car so you can get their parking spot, maybe you do need a lesson about patience. Other than that though, I make it home and nothing else eventful happens. At least that's until I start trying to wrap the gifts. That's honestly the reason I wanted to make this video, is because I really suck at wrapping gifts. It doesn't help that all of his gifts were closed this year, so those are a lot harder to wrap. But even at this church thing I did a few weeks ago, it's really hard for me to wrap boxes too. And one of the things I got my girlfriend for Christmas is this really big stuffed animal. Not really big, but big enough where it won't fit in a gift bag, which is totally not what I did with all of her other gifts. Okay, maybe that is what I did with all her other gifts, but the stuff I got her is like perfume and candles, and you can't really wrap that kind of stuff without it being too obvious, so I kind of had to. But yeah, I mean, how am I supposed to wrap a 30-inch Squishmallow? It's not like there's too many other things that could be that shape and size. Not to mention, every time I look up a wrapping tutorial online, everybody's paper obeys so much more than mine does. And no, I'm not weird for saying the wrapping paper doesn't obey me, because if you've tried what I'm trying, it doesn't work. Maybe it's just the wrapping paper I bought, but every time I try to fold or crease the paper, it just crinkles up or rips. But in all the tutorials, it looks like the paper already knows what to do and the hands are just there for decoration. There's seriously such a big skill gap between the kind of wrapping I see from other people and what I can do. Like, no joke, until a few years ago, there were times where I had to use 2 pieces of paper on one thing. It's weird how much pressure is behind wrapping a gift properly though, because all the times I've opened a gift, I never really cared about how many pieces of tape they used. As long as you can't see what's under the paper, that's all that matters, because it's going to be on the floor in 30 seconds anyways. Another thing is when you're actually opening a gift, I hate that feeling of everybody watching you. For me, it's just because I suck at showing my emotions when I open gifts. And I feel horrible because like I really do like the gifts and I'm really thankful. It's kind of like the same feeling you get when people are singing you happy birthday though. It's just such a weird feeling forcing yourself to look happy even though you really are, you're just not looking like it. Hopefully I'm not the only one with that issue because I hate looking not as grateful as I really am. Another weird thing about getting presents is wanting to know what's in them. I'm a nosy person in general, but when there's a bunch of things under the tree that I know are for me, I really want to know what's in them. We've all gone peeking through our parents' rooms when we were younger looking for gifts, but the few times that I actually found stuff, I got kind of disappointed because while I was excited for the things, now it wasn't as much of a surprise. And the surprise is like half the fun in the first place, that's why we still wrap gifts. Obviously it's not the only reason, but you know what I mean. Speaking of surprise though, I think that's why we like seeing people open the gifts we buy them, because even if you're like me and suck at showing your reaction to gifts, you still usually have that little look of surprise when you see what's in it. At least it should be a surprise. Not gonna lie, this is the first year I accidentally slipped up and told somebody their present. They were trying to guess what I got them, and what I was supposed to say is, "You'll see your gift on Christmas." I don't know if I was too tired to think straight or what, but instead what came out was, "Oh, you'll see your hoodie on Christmas." And that's like extremely embarrassing, not just because I ruined the surprise, but because I slipped up that bad. Obviously though, the holidays are a great time. Spend time with your family, your friends, your pet, whoever's important to you. This video is coming out on the 23rd, which is the day before Christmas Eve, so I just want to say I hope everybody watching this has a great holiday. I hope you get everything you asked for. I hope everybody you buy gifts for loves what you bought them. Hopefully you didn't spoil anyone's gifts like I did either, because that really sucks. That's about it for the video though. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. And if you don't know what to comment, go ahead and tell me one of your weird family traditions for the holidays.